Well, Cream Esports have been paying attention to what has happened in the past, in today's games at least, because Varus is incredibly strong. If you don't want to play her, you need to take her out of your opponent's hands.
Also want to go ahead and make a quick note for you guys. We kept talking about Benja, especially being the head-to-head. Arkel is actually playing in for him. They had a last-second swap before, so Benja is out, Arkel is in.
And Furio has his name inside little circles. I think that's worth mentioning too.
It's all about the aesthetic, isn't it, TJ?
Yeah.
There you go.
It's like, you know the Cheerios that have letters in them?
I was thinking more of the old ABC SpaghettiOs when you were a kid.
I wouldn't want to drink his name. The Annette comes through as the second ban. Florentino, the must ban, opposing him. This means Elsu, Sephira still on the cards. I think this is going to be an Elsu ban. Given that you're playing into this matchup, you might just want to take your risks and maybe ban out the Sephira instead. Let Cream Esports pull out the Elsu, because as we've discussed previously, it's a very high skill character, and if you can't play it confidently, you'll just lose.
It's an important point. It's an important point that you actually pick up on this, TJ, is we've seen some lackluster performances from other players on a Sephira or an Annette and things of that regard, but Elsu seems to be a very solid one way or another. We haven't seen a mediocre Elsu. It's either they do great and they dominate the game, or they fall to the wayside and they essentially become an irrelevant piece of dead weight for their team.
But Cream Esports have data. They know that GeO Esports are one of the teams that got completely tripped up by an Elsu they played. So if they are clever here, and I'm really hoping they will be, they'll lock in the Richter and kind of dare GeO to draft the Elsu again.
Well, the thing is, GeO Esports, actually looking at the past drafts they've had throughout the weeks, every time they go for first pick Richter, so that goes to show how comfortable they are with that character and taking it out of your opponent's hands, as we saw on the first series of today, where Annette was taken out of Shaka's hands. It made all the difference in the world.
I think this is going to work. I don't think GeO wants an Elsu. Oh, they do.
They lock it in as well as the Liliana, which means that will be a nice little beautiful pickup for their mid laner. Cream Esports, though, you said they had the data. Now they've got a counter strategy.
Yeah, I'd love to see them have some dive. I think the counter strategy may honestly just be GeO playing Elsu, though, because they looked so out of sorts last time they played the character. It was over on Mengi, and they put so much effort on farming him up towards the late game that by the time they got there, they lost complete control of the rest of the map.
Alice looks to be the hover for Cream Esports. We haven't seen much Alice since the end of Season 2 and the domination that she showed in the support position. But again, with longer selection timers, that's giving these teams more of an opportunity to strategize and debate on what their next round of picks are going to be.
Alice works out wonders if you want to have a little bit of a brawls type of a team composition. So Alice does help in those team fights, does have the silence as well as the slow coming through, and coupled down with somebody like Crashed who will be able to disrupt your opponents even more. You guys said it yourselves, GeO likes those team fights. Why not take a couple of disruptive forces to try to break up the team fight and kind of take a lot smaller fights elsewhere?
GeO need to be targeting out a mage ban during this next stage, particularly with the Alice, if they can take away Tulin.
Yeah.
I think they may have won this draft phase, because I don't really like Alice without a Tulin or a Liliana to follow up. And I think Cream Esports are going to struggle to win team fights, even if they build the ideal comp for them. And there's that Tulin ban.
Nekroth as well was locked in for the jungle for GeO Esports, so they've got the aggressive early game as well as the dive potential that we know they like to implement in their team phase. Tulin, as you mentioned, also locked into the ban. Now Cream Esports needs to make a decision. It seems like they're going to be focusing towards the support position to create more favorable matchups against that Alice. Teamy looks to be the case for their first option.
I actually like Teamy ban here, but I would imagine them following that up with Baldum as well, because it seems like Baldum is incredibly popular amongst LATAM teams. So if they ban out the Baldum as well, it's going to leave GeO in a kind of a spot where they have to take one of the supports that they're maybe not so comfortable with.
They've got Elwin, though. He can play anything. He'll play Thane. He'll quite happily play Thane, actually, here. And I think that's kind of the problem, because Cream can either ban out Baldum or Thane, and Elwin is entirely confident on both. So there's no winning focusing out the support bans for Cream. They needed to get rid of Teamy, maybe. But they have no way to guarantee that they'll stop Elwin from getting a character he's comfortable on. And by contrast, GeO Esports have removed the Tulin that combos very well with the Alice, and they've removed the Violet that would be a good answer in the jungle.
Well, Lindis is still open for grabs, so if Cream Esports, they want to go for the jungle Lindis, that's definitely in the cards, but Omen is going to be the ban out, and that's a good one as well. The lockdown of Omen does cause a little bit of a havoc and helps out in kind of dealing the team fight sort of chaos that GeO is so accustomed to.
Cream Esports have two things I think they could go for. I'd love to see the Telenas in side lane, and I'd actually maybe even go as far as saying Lindis, Telenas, jungle and side lane, double marksman, because the Telenas does really well, but there's a problem.
Yes, there is indeed. Superman looks to be the hover now for GeO Esports, and yeah.
The bigger problem is that they don't have a mate.
Yeah, I know. I just wanted to transition to Superman.
I
Superman's locked in for GeO.
Okay.
You were very happy to throw that one.
The Superman is definitely a powerful character. With the Omen banned out, Cream have kind of screwed themselves because there isn't an obvious answer. I do really think they need this Lindis. Oh, I would have said the Lindis was an obvious pick, or a Telenas. The Telenas' magic damage would combo very well with the Alice. The Lindis would do well inside the jungle should they decide to run it. But the flash in mid.
Well, the Flash does help with Alice as well. Once Alice gets that silence down, Flash can go around with that Cyclone, deal a little bit of damage, and bring the people back into a team fight that they might not want to take.
Slims, though, seems to be the hover here for Cream Esports. Not taking the advice of yours, TJ, and necessarily selecting that Lindis. It looks like they want to prefer to switch it up. Instead, as well, they decide, all right, we're not going to go with the flash. It's not the engage, it's the control. Kali is locked in. Slims is locked in now for Cream Esports.
So I am on. I'm speechless. This team comp is just confusing beyond belief because they don't have a set strategy to work with here. They have a little bit of everything, but just not one oomph that they need for this game.
Chognar.
Chognar's fine. I have no strong feelings either way. He's a nice elephant boy. The problem with Cream Esports' draft that means the nice elephant boy is not really a big deal is because the Kali doesn't function at all with the rest of this draft. In particular, I'm looking at the Metamorphosis. You have this major pushing things away. You're following through with the long-range stun from the Flying Spear, but the Kali doesn't want any of that to be happening. The Kali wants to be taking this poke fight, moving back and forth while a sustain fight is taken in front of him, and the Alice wants a stationary fight. They're all looking for different things, and the Richter would love if you were taking a long sustain fight so that he could come around on the flank and pick up the cleanup, but there's nobody to take that fight, and it's all kind of messy.
I got a word for it. You ready? Chaos. That's all I got. Cream Esports locked in their composition, raising question marks across the board, but you still have to look at what GeO was able to do. GeO does walk away with a solid roster, but more importantly, how are they going to be able to function with this Elsu, because that has not been something they have found too much success on just yet in the series.
Yes. The caveat to all of the mean things I just said about the Cream Esports draft is if GeO play like they did the last time they put Menge on Elsu, none of it matters because they'll lose again. Because they took the giant sniper rifle and shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah, it's not a feeling. It's not a very good feeling when you're able to shoot yourself in the foot like that. But more importantly, I want to see how this Kali is played in the mid lane for Cream, because if he's actually able to use that ultimate and chunk down the members of GeO as they're looking like they want to engage, and they're able to kind of back themselves up a little bit with help of the Alice, there's an opportunity, but it takes precise positioning and perfect execution by Cream for that to be the case.
Yeah. I think it's really hard for Cream to get onto the composition. I think there's a really solid front line, particularly the Chognar. Daniel D2 frequently likes to talk about how the Chognar has no stun capacity. In this composition, that doesn't matter because they have other stun capacity. What they need is a tanky front line and the Chaos Protection, the CC, the stun immunity from the Chognar's ultimate is perfect to make sure the Elsu never gets locked down.
Well, Cream Esports finds themselves in a rough spot as GeO Esports is staring at them from across the Antares battlefield. Our Latin American match number 2, game number 1, has begun.
Indeed it has, and it's with a brawl coming through as GeO and Cream Esports are in the middle of the map as they are going to be looking to clash just a little bit and do a little bit of poking.
A little bit of poking, a little bit of prodding, relying mostly on the Kali to win them lane. That'll work early. But I do worry for their late game because the Kali will struggle once mobility starts coming out, particularly Nakaroth, particularly Elsu, shut down the more static character.
Yeah, that definitely will be something to keep in mind. Meanwhile, top lane Superman up against Richter is going to be an interesting kind of a battle happening there because Superman, as we saw earlier, has a lot of damage up against Richter.
Yeah. The major thing the Superman can do is completely reposition his targets, and that's very powerful against characters that want to set up and take a long, sustained team fight.
It is indeed, but GeO are going to be looking for an early team fight here as there's going to be the snipe coming through. GeO have taken their opponents down pretty low. Now VE is going to be going in there. Arkle doing whatever he can in terms of assisting, but GeO have taken the first blood here, and they're going to be able to get more. Neo gets caught out as well. Superman has joined the party, and that's going to be a triple kill in the hands of GeO Sports, or GeO Esports coming through. That's a phenomenal start, kind of like Nova had.
Yeah, Mengi having an absolute field day in the opening fight, just standing behind his entire front line. They certainly seem to be more comfortable running the Elsu this time. A lot of that's coming down to how they're grouping up around him, sending the Nakaroth and Jognar stuck with him.
That is a first pre-2-minute tower today.
That's Elsu.
That's an incredibly fast tower push coming through from GeO, and they get the Abyssal Dragon as well. We're 2 minutes in, and they have 2,000 gold lead. They're accumulating 1,000 gold so early on, more than their opponents.
Yeah, that's the power of Elsu. He just chunks early game towers, and you can see already they're much more comfortable with the character, sending Mengi all the way out to top lane, rotating around so that he gets control of the map.
Yeah, Superman does want to hold up the lanes for a couple of seconds and then rotate to help his team with those fights.
I want to highlight that Neo just walked back into the Riki shot.
Yeah, that's...
Caught the he was moving towards him and he was out of range, but he was like, but what if?
What if I tank it? See how much damage it does, but Furio is going to be in the midst of their opponents as he's going to be taken down low. He doesn't go down just yet, but Superman comes in. There's Lycan coming through, and another dash. Make that tree as he comes down and reigns supreme on this fight. GeO Esports are taken apart. That's 7 kills in 3 minutes. That's 3,000 gold lead. Make it 4 as GeO are looking for more. They're absolutely demolishing the side of GeO Esports.
Lycan stepping up in the early game, and they're going to get their second tower in the top lane. This is a GeO Esports game.
Yeah, this train is not stopping anytime soon. They've almost doubled the gold of their opponents, and they're gonna get the middle tower as well. The experience difference speaks a story on itself. Level 5s, level 4s, level 3s in the side of GeO.
And one of the things I didn't recognize was exactly how good a tower pushing team they built here.
They have indeed, but we do have a little bit of a skirmish happening once again in the jungle. GeO is going to be looking for that fight here, but Furio is going to back away from this one. Elsu snipe comes through. It doesn't connect onto anybody just yet. Finally crashed on the forefront, tanking up everybody. The Metamorphosis has been popped. Elwin has gone down low, and there's one more hit that needs to be done. Oh, the Alice snipe comes through, but meanwhile, the rest of the side of GeO is going to get demolished here. They're going to be run over. Furio jumps back in, but that's a mistake as the Richter, he's not going to be able to do much more than just go to the graveyard. That's 4 kills in the pockets of GeO Esports.
Mengi's just standing in the middle of the fight, shooting his gun.
What? No.
They can't. He's just standing there.
Yeah, GeO need to focus down this Elsu. He's dealing a lot of damage, but at the same time, there's so many people dealing a lot of damage on the side of GeO.
Yeah, Lycan and Mengi are comboing really well, but you should be particularly concerned about Mengi because he's about to scale real fast if you ignore him.
Yeah, that will come into play as we do have Abyssal Dragon once again being taken here by the side of GeO Esports. Crash is sticking around, but there's no realistic way that he can steal this objective.
Oh.
The Superman train?
Choo-choo. But the destination, it was a bullet train one way to a destination that he was already at. It was like a round trip kind of thing. And he just kind of got
Are you okay?
Nope. It was going somewhere in my head. The analogy kind of, it was a train wreck. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it was a train wreck.
Mengi is happily farming up, and he's going to cause a train wreck because you can already look at his build, and he's shooting ahead. He's got the Fafnir's talent, like an Mail of Pain out of Hermes Select. This is actually a terrifyingly fed Geo. I legitimately don't know how you turn this. If you do, it probably comes from Metamorphosis.
This will be the greatest comeback in the history of gaming if they manage to do so, but not right now, as finally GeO are gonna lose a second member over the course of 6 minutes. Furio on the back line, trying to deal whatever damage he can, but he can't deal enough there as the Metamorphosis crashed. Is looking for a little bit of tankiness, but he cannot do it alone. Joining him will be Arkle on that Alice, but they do not have the damage to fight 4 people.
SPV, bless his heart, he tried real hard there, and that was a solid Metamorphosis. That's maybe their only way back into the game off the back of his Metamorphosis, because whenever he drops it, he basically ignores scaling for a moment. He becomes so tanky and does enough damage that he can burst down individual characters. That's how they just got the kill on mid, particularly playing around towers. He can also push people out of position. It is their only hope.
It is indeed their only hope, but now we do have a little bit of a downtime here as GeO Esports, for whatever reason, have taken a step back here, a little bit calmer now.
What do they call a team that loses in less than 10 minutes? Creamed. He just shook his head at me. He didn't even respond. I'm gonna make a gamble. I think Cream are gonna struggle to keep this game alive past 10 minutes. Now there is a small hope for them in the fact that GeO typically struggle at ending games, but they're not struggling here.
They are not indeed, as Metamorphosis comes through. SP is doing whatever he can. Arkle is being pushed back by the train of Superman, and that's no stopping. There's no stopping him right now as the chase comes through from Nacroft as well. Furio is finally gonna join the fight. Well, what is he gonna do? Oh, the jump on Lycan over the wall onto the bush, finds him out. Furio is gonna go down.
Now Myth dives the tower. There's the high ground gone. 2 respawns, maybe 3 here to defend.
This is surely a game here coming through from GeO Esports. Finally, the powerful hymns is going to be coming through, or Ethereal Pulse coming through, but it's not going to deal too much. Another casualty is going to be Bunny. That's an 8-minute game and 22-2 scoreline between these two teams. What a fast game.